It seems that a lot of people like to play offline mobile games, ones that require zero internet connection, and I sit back and I wonder why. Is it trying to have a slower gameplay experience or wanting to not have to compete against others? Whatever it may be for you, I have a list of 15 of some of the most recommended by Google offline mobile games that you could play right now. Some are new and others have been around and stood the test of time. The question is, are Google's recommendations worth it or not? Let's go find out. Soul Knight is probably one of the most popular games on the list here today. This is a roguelike RPG style game that's kind of a mixture between a Zelda style game and an action RPG, based in a retro pixelated style graphic mechanic. I like this game, and I don't even like this type of artwork inside of games, but I think that it's really done well, and clearly the community believes so as well, because this game is one of the most popular offline games. As you can see, there's tons of different ways to battle, lots of things going on around the screen as well, and it seems that you may have a brand new adventure around every single corner when you're playing this one. RS Boxing Champions? Maybe you want to do a little bit of sports, but you want to have a little bit of robot in there as well. Well, this would be the game for you, I guess. Boxing, robots, PvP, that's not necessary. Probably not my first choice of games, but one that a lot of people do seem to like. Now here's one I do quite like. We're looking at Dead Effect 2, and actually we could even talk about Dead Effect 1 in this case as well, because both of them are very similar. One is newer than the other, this one being the newer of the two. Both of them are action, space style, shooter, fighter style games that are very gory and very offline experiences. This one kind of reminds me of Dead Space with more blood and gore, even though Dead Space did have a lot of blood and gore in it itself. This is a great mobile game that is really action-packed, has decent graphics for its time, and has stood the test of time, meaning that it's still good to this day, even though it's a handful of years old at this point in time. If I want an action offline experience that has a little bit of scariness, a little bit of gore inside of it, this is one that I would definitely consider playing and that I would feel confident recommending for you to try as well. Otherworld Legends. This is a roguelike action RPG style game that has a retro look and a retro feel to it as well. As you can see, very similar genre to Soul Knight, but very different gameplay mechanic. This one even a little bit more subdued, I guess you can say. A little less craziness going on the screen, although the action is definitely packed. Another one that if you're into action RPG style games or roguelike style games and you like the retro style gameplay, one that you may consider playing when you're going on the plane with no internet connection. Maybe you have that at home, or maybe you just want to play solo. I still don't know why people would choose to play offline, but it's okay. I condone it. Grim Valor is a hack and slash style platformer action RPG game. Why would you want to play an action RPG game that's a platformer? Well, maybe you don't want that open world exploration. Maybe you don't want that game death, and maybe you want a linear path to the chaos that will ensue. This game will offer you that. As you could see, it was from back in 2019, so this thing is 5 years old and still rocking it in the offline charts. Metal Ranger 2D shooter. Reminds me a little bit of RoboCop, and also this guy looks a little too confident as he walks around. He is lacking a little bit of sway in his step. A super simple style platformer shooter game that looks like a mixture of, as I said, RoboCop and Master Chief. Even though that's the case, it is offline and a lot of people enjoy playing, and it has a lot of different boss interactions and enemies that you'll encounter inside of the game, and it's space themed too. So maybe you'll like it. Probably wouldn't be one that I choose though. Major Mayhem 2, it's an action shooter style casual game. Another offline experience, of course, and this one's actually kind of cool. I like the whole 3D look that it has, and I like how you just have a different style gameplay than a traditional platformer. Here you could even attack into the screen versus having always to go left to right. Definitely fun, reminds me a little bit of Contra from back in the day in the arcades. Bet you never heard of this one, Legend of Survivors. This is one of those rogue-like bullet hell style survival games. The ones that you just keep trying to live as more and more waves come, but you upgrade your weapons as you go. I know there's a ton of these games. Most of them are not offline, but this one and a couple of others, including Vampire Survivors, are offline. It's worth playing if you like this type of genre. I actually think they're quite fun, and I like that you can play as different types of characters as well. Cover Fire is one of the most intense, thought-provoking trailers that has ever come out for any game on mobile. You just wonder what the experience is going to be like, but it is a cover-style sniping game on Android and iOS that's offline. Need we say more? But if that type of sniping isn't up your alley, maybe War Sniper is, where you could play as vehicles, as snipers, and you could just take down everything and anything inside of the war. Because you are the war beast, and you could shoot a lot of different things with a lot of different weapons and vehicles. So when you're tired of hiding in the brush, you can jump in a tank and kill things from there. Zombie Catchers. Well, this one is a funny, casual style platformer game where you play as a zombie catcher. You're trying to catch the zombies, if you couldn't tell by the name. I like this game because it's just taking it lightly. It's not trying to be too serious, and it's just trying to have a good time. It does itself well. It reminds me of many other games, a little bit of Plants vs. Zombies inside of there, and a little bit of My Singing Monsters inside of there when you look at the artwork style. And the game is just casual and fun. So when you're trying to kill some time, it's a great one to play. I think it's cool. And then there's Zombie Sniper 3. That's why it says third on that street sign. Really cool looking graphics here. Definitely takes you into that post-apocalyptic world, the one where you are fearful that you will be eaten by zombies, or even more scary, potentially other people. That happens in the zombie apocalypse. Another sniping style game here, though, that does take it to that dark realm where the undead roam the earth. I think this one's pretty cool out of the sniping games we've shared today. World Robot Boxing. Another boxing style robot game. Who knew there was such a thing? Well, I did, and I actually like this one better. It's a little bit easier to play, a little bit more casual, and I think the graphics are also a little bit better in this one. If I had to choose, which I guess I do, and so do you, this would be my choice for the boxing metalheads inside of this suggestion video. And potentially one of the best games on the whole list here today is Brawl Hollow, which a lot of people didn't realize was a offline game as well. Now obviously you could play online and verse other people, but apparently you can get on and have no internet connection as well. Maybe do some PvE style battles. But this is one of the best, if not the best platformer battler ever. Super Smash Bros. Not included. Really great game, tons of different heroes that you could play as when you're playing this game, and just the attacks are incredible. It's really a fun game that you could play solo, or that you could decide to play with friends as well. As you can see, graphics are actually pretty insane. What? Temple Run 2. I remember doing a video for Temple Run 6 years ago on this YouTube channel. I wonder if I could even go find that video. Temple Run games, you know, the Endless Runners, they're just fun, man. I mean, say what you want to say about them, how they're casual and stuff. This one's fun. It just is. And it still plays well to this day. Probably because it's pretty light and easy to play. But it's still light and easy to play and fun. Shadow Fight 2, one of the best fighting games on mobile. Now, no, it doesn't have the insane graphics. Everything is like a silhouette. But the actual mechanics of the fights inside of this one are quite nice. Now, some of the Shadow Fight games don't have that offline capability, but apparently this one does. And if it does, it tells you that this is the jam. Alien Shooter 2, a top-down style shooter where you have to make your way through the different stages. You guessed it, aliens are invading. This one definitely does have that Mercs look. The top-down style game that's Contra-like, but more of a 3D rendition. Reminds me of the arcade back in the late 80s. Really fun game here. It's done well on mobile as well, and this is another one that's been around for quite a long time. If you like videos like this and you want to always know what the best things are to play on mobile, PC, or free games in general, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on my video that drops tomorrow. I'll see you guys there.